Good morning on this Thursday, already the May the 16th, and it's 10 a.m. in New York. And I'm really welcoming everybody who continues to join this weekly event for now. We'll make it more frequent as soon as we're more organized. I mean, when I say that, it's having more people involved, the producer, and all the things that we need to make it more professional. So, this is the ambition, this is the intention, and I hope that you stick with me and that we are going to get there very soon. Every now and then, you'll see also with me a guest, as saw me with Sarah 2 weeks ago, but we'll see some more in the weeks to come. My goal with guests especially is to give other perspectives than mine, and especially also share stories, experiences. That's the evidence of life. You hear the story of people. They are authentic, I guarantee you. They're very sincere, and when they come here with their experience, they understand that my goal has been always to share something, a vision, a thought, excuse me, a coaching insight, if you will, and sometimes a mentoring one, when I'm sure that the experience is the proof of the pudding, then yes, I share the story, I share it with you because I know it changes people's lives. I know, I see, I get the feedback that people say, you know what, I impacted that person, I impacted that team, I'm a leader, and that's my responsibility. This is why I always wanted to be a leader, not because I wanted to have power necessarily. Many unfortunately have that, and when there is this ingredient, right, in the DNA, in the DNA of the person, that's a bad sign. But power is terribly misleading. It's fantastic, right? Leading, misleading, power. That you see the equation. So when you have that mix, you watch out. But many leaders out there are very sincere in understanding that they are the ones chosen to take a team along for achieving results. It doesn't have to be always money and profit. It can be just a mission in a non-for-profit, a cause, anything. The leader is someone who's going to catalyze, or facilitate something so that that thing is maximized with a experience and sometimes a sense of authority, which doesn't mean necessarily a dictator. Authority means that you can, for example, lead by model because you have proven yourself, and not only that, people follow you because they saw you in action and really appreciate what you do for who you are. And that's the theme of today: how to be the best of yourself in these leadership situations. Let's put it now, another perspective here. I want to make it very clear. I do not think that the people that I coach, who are most of them managers, leaders, executives, senior executives, C suite executives, whatever you want, and CEOs, and president, and board members, and chairman of the boards. I have this privilege to have all these different levels. It doesn't make me different when I coach one or another. I'm totally focused in the person's development. Whatever that person wants to achieve, I hope I can be a support to that person. And I will to use all my skills and everything I learned so far to give all my assets to this person unconditionally to see that person grow. And this person will give me the feedback and will measure the progress, etc., etc. This is really maybe about COVID time or a little bit before that. I think corporate America and corporate world started to appreciate what coaching is about. So it became really a profession. It started to get us busy, no question about it. But there is an understanding. The need is there. It's very, very high need. And I will say that corporations invest in this. Their HR, their learning and development departments and executives, they make decisions to hire coaching companies, training companies. For what reason? Because an external competent person who is certified and all of that, and the years of experience, can be definitely a huge resource for leadership to be a better leadership, for a leader to understand better the mission, the goal, and get the better of that person into that mission. So that's my introduction to today. We're going to have 20, 22 minutes together speaking about this. And I don't see myself making a monologue for a half hour. You could give me an opportunity to have your comments here. That would be great. Your reactions. That would also be even greater. The comment that you see the space underneath me, that's a little bit of a new format today I try, is for you to make comments, especially from LinkedIn, I think, and YouTube. For the YouTube viewers, which are probably not many, because I'm still not sure how to attract you to subscribe to YouTube. Again, I'm a little bit lonely here on this. And by the way, any suggestion is welcome, but I really need to increase the subscription volume of our YouTube subscribers. So please help me out. That would be the best way of you giving your feedback that you appreciate this moment with me, and then the subscription will really be not only a proof of your engagement, but it will also attract other people to do the same. And then we'll form a community, a real community of people that are interested in those topics that we are talking about. Topics that we are talking about are those that come every day on the table. It's not something that finding interesting to talk about more than anything else. It's really coming because, you know, there is more and more challenges, in other words, to be an inspiring person with the different challenges that we are facing in today's economy or in today's society, anywhere we are, any regime, any economy, any type of thing, there is always a for-profit, a company or an organization in place with leaders in place. And the truth is, people are leaders for, again, from their own volition. It's not mandatory for someone to become a leader. And usually those who have this interest, sometimes this passion, to give themselves to this cause and to share a purpose with their teams, those people, right, understand it interestingly, and they are doing their training and they go to the proper education usually to get to that level, or they are not they're noticeable, and people who are noticing them recognize them, put them where they are today, if they are smart and they don't look only at diplomas and things, because good leaders are not necessarily people who have the highest education. The biggest leaders are those who care, who have empathy, good psychology as well, even intuitively, but definitely human people. Because today the point is, how do I make people's life better in the workplace or in their different missions from wherever they are, with new challenges because of the new world of technology and of post-COVID situations where people are, for many, working from home or from a remote area, and we deal most of the time with the cyberspace. And it's not easy to be present, to have an influence, and to pass through a message that we, not only a message, a communication, a leadership that is tangible and can be really impactful and efficient through the waves of the internet. It's not easy at all. One of the things that come back pretty often is, how much are you going to try to see people face to face? How frequently are you going to do that? And are you going to always be virtual? Is that possible to lead a team being constantly virtual and never have a chance to meet that person in face to face? That's another question. But we're talking about impact, we're talking about inspiration, because we want people to be the best of themselves. And for that, you need to know yourself a little bit more. So they give you multiple ways of finding out a little bit more about yourself. For example, the classic one is the 360 assessment. You're going to designate raters, people that you work with, your boss, your direct reports, your peers, your partners, the suppliers, the vendors out there, whoever deals with you as who you are for what you do as a leader. They're going to give and answer a series of questions, and there will be a report. That report will be debriefed with a coach or with someone at HR. That person will maybe understand and learn a few things from the feedback of these people that gives that time and their mind to answer those questions objectively. It's not always the case. I always warn my clients that when we are going to debrief a 360, one caution to take is imagine the person who answered the questionnaire, where that person was, how focused that person was. Was it in the middle of the World Cup or or the Super Bowl, or was it just that person completely focusing for you to give that feedback about you and give you data, give you some information that will allow you to see where are the gaps, where you want to develop more your potential. Lastly, when there is an assessment in 360, it's your call when you read it and when you are debriefed on it to see what really resonates the most with you. You make the final choice of what you want to develop. You make the final choice. You, the coachee or the person who wants to develop yourself, you make the final choice of what you want to focus on. If it's executive presence, if it is your impact, your influence, if it is your way of communicating, the effectiveness of your communication, if it's to work on areas where you're not comfortable at all, if it's conflict resolution, if it is a difficult conversation, those are the things that you bring up to the coaching. That's how the things that someone is going to say you're very weak on this, or you have never been convincing for this or for that. And you need to work on your presence. You need to work on your assertiveness in some cases. We need you to show your confidence in yourself. Why? Because we need to trust you. You cannot lead a team that doesn't trust you, and you cannot lead a team that you don't trust. And say team and individuals, right? So I say a lot of things in a few minutes like this, but it is very important what I'm trying to say here, right? To be the best of yourself, the contingency, or more, the reward, in fact, after you do that effort, on one or two things. You don't have to embrace everything at once, obviously. But what does it mean to be the best of yourself? It's to watch carefully. It's to have the first, the will, the intention to be the best of yourself. And to be the best of yourself is what's expected of you. And the first one who expects this from you is yourself. Tell you why. Those 360, right? Those assessments where people rate you for different aspects of your leadership and your personality and your performance and all of that, categorized in different areas. They have been those companies behind the assessments. When you take a branded assessment, made their research and have their benchmarks and percentiles with 10,000, 20,000 people of the same level of you, maybe same age category, and they're going to have these benchmark coefficients showing there. And when we rate a 4 towards a 4.5 or 4.6, because that's the worldwide average of the sample of people we took to create that benchmark, that gives you an idea of where you stand. Again, it's not 100% true. It's not the truth of the of God. It's definitely an indication. And I always say, take 30-40% of that. It's already a lot. If this is telling you something, this assessment, and that you can learn from it, something you didn't know because of the feedbacks that you got from the people. Wow, I didn't know that I made this impression on them, or I didn't know that I always show this weakness of mind, that I'm hesitant, that creates really a lot of doubts around me because I'm not determined, I'm not making hard decisions like a leader should be doing, right? So to be the best of yourself, is good to make an assessment like this. I tell you another way of doing it too, is to reflect. You do your own assessment, your self-criticism, and not to be harsh on yourself, please, because that's what I was about to say. When you read the results of the assessments, there's always different colors of lines that goes, on the scale. You are always usually the one who rates yourself extremely harshly. You're harsh on yourself. You're demanding on yourself. That's what is, again, a generality, but because it's above average, it's really a trend, and it's definitely a fact. I see it every day that people are underrating themselves. So that's a proof that you are demanding, that you want to be the best of yourself. That's the proof to me. That's why I think it's the subject I wanted to talk to you about today. So I think it might interest you. and I want to interest you. So there's many stories about people who try very hard to be the best of themselves. When you try too hard, it's visible, and it also creates some kind of a doubt about how you are reliable and trustworthy. So the more authentic you are in who you are, the better. But another exercise is also going to help you very much as a leader to have impact and especially gaining the trust. You know what? I want to tell something. I don't think an organization can be trusted. Any organization, even the best brands out there, the biggest companies out there, they've been even standing very nicely at Wall Street, and their stock has been always growing, or they are managing very well the company, and the balance sheet looks very good each year, and the quarterly calls when you are attending them sound very well, very professional, good audits, good healthy numbers, and reliable numbers. So then you could trust the company, you could trust the brand. But we're talking about people here, right? And those people make decisions all every day. Give you an example. Everybody knows this, so I'm not, teaching you anything. But it's a point that I want to make. During the COVID time, and just after that too, there was an astronomical growth of hiring people. People hired and recruited right and left, created even jobs that were not necessarily indispensable. There were a lot of money, there was a lot of cash in high tech, especially, and they hired and overhired. Of course, what happens after that, right? 2 or 3 years later, we have too many people, and in fact, our growth was doing this way, but the decline is also as steep as was the growth. That's so childish. If you will look at this at a higher level, it's amazing. You make decisions of hiring and hiring and hiring, and you know perfectly well that 2 or 3 years later, you're going to have to fire most of those people that you hired, laying them off. Plus, it's expensive, but it's totally disregardless of people's and human beings' mental status. Does it do good to people to have this illusion that they're going to be promoted, they're going to have a career, that they're going to be there to stay, right? I talk about the American culture more than any other ones because it's a young culture still to this date, and it's a culture of disposable. I'm sorry, but it's true. And the disposable culture doesn't make people very loyal. And the first one I would say in the equation is probably the employer not to be so loyal. You have been working even 20 years for the company, and there is a need to lay off X, Y, and Z, and the criteria to lay people off is just the bottom line, what they paid, and your salary is too high. You reach a level that we cannot afford anymore for the cash flow for the next 3 years, whatever. We need to have you out of this equation. So we're going to propose you an early retirement, all kind of nice package and severance and all of this. At the end, it's going to still be profitable for the company to let you go. But you, in this middle of that, what about you, right? The employee, even you're an executive, and in fact, you've been used to be an executive for a long time. So for you, this is a shock. This is a big depression, especially if you reach an age where you feel it's harder to find a job because you're more expensive, because it's more difficult to find a job when you're older. Anyway, I'm talking about trust. I'm talking about loyalty. There is nothing wrong about people or companies that do what I just described. Nothing wrong. The only thing wrong, though, is this lack of maturity or lack of long-term vision, that they could have done it differently. When the economy is good, when your company is growing, try to be a little bit more selective and strategic about the jobs that you create. Where do you create them? For how long do you create them? What type, in fact, of contract you want to create? What the contract you're going to have with people, so that you don't have any illusions. You do not drive them crazy, okay? But, I say very nice things here. It's ideal. I'm looking at the time. I apologize, but I'm really by the clock. So we have another 9 minutes. And you see that I don't have a script here. I'm really talking as thoughts are coming along on the theme of being the best of yourself. And I'm always back to the same root, basic value of your independence and your autonomy, you can be loyal to a company and have all full integrity to what you do and to the company you work for at any level of the hierarchy. Still, still, you're your own. You're on your own, and you have the responsibility to back yourself up. So we talked about the small board, personal board of director. We talked about the networking, the constant buzz you need to work on, the ritual or rituals that you need to create for yourself because you want to be a good leader. To be a good leader, you have to feel good with yourself and feel good, have energized, and have really good health mentally and physically to be a good leader. So to exercise and do all of those things every day, it's to do one thing. When you're a servant leader, in a way, that's one aspect of being a servant leader, there is definitely in mind an intention to serve a community, to serve your team, to serve your company and bring the best of yourself for that reason. There is a purpose behind this. The more you are focused on your purpose here, the better you're going to be because you keep really focusing on what's most essential. And there is expectations from you, right? There is quotas, there is kind of numbers expectations, all kind of expectations that company will definitely make clear to you that you need to follow and align with. And you're going to do the same with the other people that report to you because that's leadership too. But what I'm trying to emphasize is your autonomy and your independence are the engine of your performance, of being the best of yourself. You can be only the best of yourself if you are totally yourself, authentically, and responsible for yourself. In other words, what I'm saying is, I'm not blaming or putting my destiny in the hands of my employer, my employees, or my banker, or my government. I am not putting myself in the hands of these people. That's the first thing I think, and maybe that's a revolution for you to hear this, but it's my conviction at this stage of my life, for what I heard, for what I learned factually and suffered through, not knowing how independent I was, and being myself, putting myself in the hands of these people. They didn't ask for it. They didn't want me to be in their hands. Sometimes governments do want you to feel that you are dependent on them. That's very simple, right? You know that. That makes it, two parties in this country, but that makes it, um, politics defined by labels like socialist, Democrats, this and that. There is a name, there is a label, but who are you? What do you want for you and your life? And in which system can you really thrive the best for yourself? Why did I move from France to the US back in the days? Because there was more opportunities here, a sense of freedom here that was more clearer, and other things also about quality of life, about different things. There is a lot of quality of life in France. Do not misunderstand me. Which maybe more in many aspects, by the way, than there is in the US. But one of the reasons I came here to grow a family, to be free to educate my children the way I want, the way my family educated me, continue, the legacy and the values that we have. That was the reason why I chose this country for me, versus leaving behind me, where I was raised and where I left also my mom and some family members that fortunately came to visit me, and I continue to visit. But it's just emigration is not an easy thing to do when you leave behind you the country where you were raised. I did that move because of this search of independence and autonomy. I share that with you. This is really the reason. And maybe I'm not feeling the same today. If I made the right move, or if I would have to make the decision today, if I would make it, I'm not sure. But what I'm trying to say to you is that's what keeps me working. That's what keeps me hoping that I can have this impact on myself, on my family, on my dear ones, my close circle. And then when I'm at work and I have to drive a plan or design a plan and execute that plan as a leader, I definitely want to bring this autonomy and that person of mine and inspire the same by the people who are around me. Because I think that's the only way to be happy. That's the only way to thrive, to blossom, is to feel that independence. And the more independent you are, and the more authentic you are, and the more you're going to inspire that trust. Maybe that's the key. Maybe that's the word I wanted to say today. Maybe that's the thing that is most essential of what I wanted to share. And 3 minutes before our conclusion, I would like to invite you to communicate with me via the website, especially, www.coachingpath.com or andrepolitzer.com, and have also a look at this new website called um, spotlightmindset.com. I can't help it. This one is not an easy. It is not the name I wanted to give it to you to it, so it's going to change. But it's called Spotlight Mindset for now, and it's about acting, and it's about being intentional, and about being more comfortable in areas and roles you play that are not always so comfortable. And acting is to act yourself, and it's the same consistent theme of independence and autonomy, to connect to your core, to reflect on yourself every day, eventually journal it. Take a pen. There is nothing more spiritual and more sincere than the pen, because it's the end of your hands, right? When you write on paper. I said that before, it's very holistic. I believe very much in journaling. I do this in every single day. It's a ritual I will never neglect. If I can, of course, I have to have a paper and a pen when I want to journal it. Journaling means I reflect. I think about the theme, particularly if it's great, if it's to be grateful, or if it's just about my performance of the day, or what I felt I was the best at today, a good story, someone who impacted me positively today. I want to write it down. I don't want to forget. But by writing it down, it gets in. You really internalize it. So that's another part of being the best of yourself, is to ascertain every day, acknowledge every day your progress. And when you write it on paper, it's like really being serious about it, very committed to it. And when you go backwards and you start reading back, maybe every week or every month, not every 10 years, you see what's going on. Then you can eventually do your own assessment and your assessment report. Talk with your coach about it. Talk with your partners about it, and see how you are progressing. I want to leave you with these words, and I want you with this idea of journaling. I connect this and correlate that to be the best of yourself. It's a very hard work to be the best of ourselves. It's not an easy task. We want to do this more and better every day when you are really committed to this. So it's not the last time I'm going to talk about this, for sure not. And what I, in fact, included in my talk today also are some repetitions of what I said before, because I'm very, very and strongly convinced, to finish on this, that we are on our own. We own our destiny. We do. Only our intentions and the values that we carry are going to determine if we are going to be successful or not, and if we are going to inspire others or not, or if we are going to change the world or not. Okay? Thank you very much, and have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you next week with a surprise guest. Take care. Bye.